Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming from right here in my room in Las Vegas. I am, of course, your host, John Campea. I'm joined not in studio, but they're in my studio. Jonathan Voico is there.
Good morning, everybody.
Writer, director, producer Robert Meyer Burnett is there.
Oh, it's a good week, John. A lot going on.
There is a whole lot going on. And of course, most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show part of your day. And here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a number of predetermined topics we got lined up for you guys. And then in the second part of the show, well, that's when we take your live comments and questions. If you have a thought, theory, opinion, or question you'd like us to address, go ahead and fire it on into our tip link at www.streamelements.com/John-Campea/tip. And the good news about the tip link is that it's actually good 24 hours a day. So if you're listening to this show on podcast, say either on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or your favorite podcasting app of choice, or if you're watching this show a little bit later in the day, you can still send in a question. If you send one in when we're not live, we'll just get around to answering it on the next episode. All right. Hey, before we get started, I want to share a couple of things with you guys. So as you can tell, I'm in Vegas. We're trying to accomplish a couple of things out here in Vegas. One is Ann and I wanted to visit a barbecue place that we've been drooling over and wanting to try out called Soul Belly. It's in the Las Vegas Arts District. We ate there last night, and holy crap, it's one of the best barbecue joints I've ever been to. Check it out if you get a chance. But the other thing we did was my wife, having grown up in like the late 80s, the 90s, she was a big Backstreet Boys fan. Big Backstreet Boys fan. Oh my gosh, you can actually see her a little bit there in the background. I'm trying my best. She's working in the background. I'm trying my best to block her out. But so she was a big Backstreet Boys, and they were performing at the Sphere in Las Vegas. We haven't been to the Sphere yet. We had tickets to U2 once, but we came on a very busy weekend where we went to go see a Golden Knights versus the Toronto Maple Leafs game. Then the next night we went to a Bad Bunny concert. And then the next night we were supposed to go to U2 and we were just tired out by that point. So I hadn't been to the Sphere yet. So we went to the Sphere last night and got some sweet tickets. I just want to show you this because I'd never seen anything like this before. Check this out. This is us walking into the Sphere. We're already in the Sphere. This is us walking into the suite.
Looks like the Imperial Senate.
How many people said, did you tell Anakin the tale of Darth Plagueis the Wise? A lot of people left that comment. So then they put out like there's some cookies and everything, but then they put out like a full buffet of food. But okay, now you're walking into where you're supposed to sit in your suites. Look at this place. Look at it. I could not believe it. I had never seen anything like that in my life. It is well beyond everything I thought it was going to be. Like, it was great. It was fantastic, but it was even better than I thought it was going to be. If you guys get a chance to go see the Sphere, go. I know we're going to go back in a month or so when they start playing The Wizard of Oz there. And I can't, and by the way, the Backstreet Boys,
they're back.
They're back. And they kicked all kinds of ass last night.
I'm waiting.
If I look shocked, I am, but they put on a really good show. Like I went for my wife, but I stayed for the concert, and it was like really good. I got to give it to them. So
why do I look particularly like Twitch streamer right now in this shot?
That's true. You're ready to snipe a guy?
Yeah.
Oh, also listen, before we get started, we literally just found this out. We don't have this up as a topic or anything, but just mentioning, well, Rob, want to just mention the story that just broke?
Malcolm Jamal Warner of The Cosby Show, he won a Grammy in 2015, has apparently passed away, according to TMZ, at 54 from an accidental drowning.
Yeah.
Which is...
I was shocked.
Really sad.
Yeah, when you said that, I'm like, what? There's just certain names, it's like you said, 54. Come on.
Dude, we all grew up watching.
Yes,
Yeah.
we did.
Yeah.
As the oldest of the Cosby kids. Like I still remember one of my favorite moments in television history. You guys will probably remember this scene where Theo's decided he's not going to go to college and he's going to just get a regular job and be regular people. And do you remember this scene?
I do.
Where and then his dad and Cosby is like, oh yeah, well, how much money do you think you're gonna make as a regular person? And like whatever. And he starts taking the money away, groceries, rent. And then he said, see, I still have $54 left over. He's like, do you want a girlfriend? Yeah. Vroom. He takes all the rest of the money away. It was just, it was, yeah, listen, it's weird, man. When one of these guys leaves us that are ones you were with as you were growing up and kind of grew up with you, because he was a kid on the Cosby Kids when we were kids, right? So we kind of grew up with him. And very sad to hear that. And our condolences and thoughts and well wishes to everybody who knew and was connected to him. All right, guys, listen, we got a lot of stuff we need to talk about here today. So let's get things kicked off with this. The eternal battle, Coke or Pepsi, Apple or PC. Well, you can also add to that physical or digital when it comes to the media. And I feel like every week there's bad news on both sides. Streaming prices going up. Another main stores to stop selling Blu-ray. It's just bad news all around. And here's another little piece of bad news. It's just been announced. This is a shocker. But Microsoft has suddenly, out of nowhere, pulled the plug on its movies and TV store for both Xbox and Windows as a whole. The folks over at IGN wrote this. Without any prior warning, Microsoft has today removed the ability to buy movies and TV content for Xbox consoles and Windows devices. The surprise move was first spotted by fans as Microsoft published a Q&A detailing the changes as they were already going live. Previously purchased film and TV content can still be viewed, and you can still use your Xbox to play media you already own, such as DVDs and Blu-rays. But film and TV fans will no longer be able to add their digital libraries, won't be able to move content to other services, and no refunds will be given should you want to help rebuild your library elsewhere. Okay. This is stunning. Like, at first, when I heard the story, my first thought was they must be talking about, oh, their Xbox. Okay, well, maybe they're trying to streamline Xbox to just be a gaming only device and blah, blah, blah. I never thought for a second that they were including Windows in that, like overall Windows. And while on the good side, they're not taking away your shows and movies that you already have in your library. That's good, right? So, okay, that's still there. But you can't move it anywhere, and they're not going to help you change main services for your library. Like, let's say you use primarily Windows or Xbox to build your digital collection and say, okay, I'll move it over to Google. Well, you're going to have to repurchase it all on Google. They're not going to help you move it over. And that kind of sucks. Now, look, they say right now, they're saying, they make it a big point of it, and this is good, to say you can still watch all your stuff. Ask me if I believe for a second that's still going to be true 4 years from now. Do I believe for 1 second in 4 years the stuff you have on your digital account on Xbox is still going to be viewable? I highly doubt it. At some point, Microsoft, I believe, and now I'm speculating to be fair, but I believe at some point Microsoft is going to announce, be it in a year, 2 years, 3 years, that, hey guys, in the next calendar year, we're going to be turning off all support for previously bought TV shows and movies, and that's going to be gone. And Rob, this is and always has been the number one argument against making your library digital as opposed to physical. I mean, I've got a lot of issues with the physical as well, but the number one thing has been you can't really rely on it. Now, my digital collection, Rob, is all on the Google Play Store. Google's not going anywhere, and neither is their Play Store. I feel very safe and secure in that. But I never would have thought Microsoft would have been getting rid of theirs. And while they're still saying this stuff is still going to be available, that's great, but I don't believe that's going to be the case 5 years from now. Anyway, I was kind of surprised to hear this news, not so much about Xbox, but more about Microsoft. Rob, you hear this news as an avid physical media guy. This is your time to put on your cowboy hat and ride around the rodeo a little bit. But what's your thoughts on this?
Well, you know, this is the time when I invite all of our lovely viewers and supporters to come watch my Let's Get Physical Media show every Sunday morning at 11 a.m. No, I think that, look, as somebody who has been collecting physical media, there's never been a better time to collect physical media than right now. We're getting the best versions of our favorite films. The studios are going, we're at the end of the physical media road. I honestly believe that. We now have only two major retailers selling things, Amazon and Walmart. And when they go away, the studios are going to divest from creating physical media. The boutique labels will take over for a while, but make no mistake, we are at the end of the physical media rainbow or road. But it's going to last for a little while longer. I do think that this is going to be, unless you can download digital files and keep them on your own servers, you should be very mindful if you want to build digital libraries, that if you're expecting some other, I think John's right, Google will stick around. But if you expect these other, look at, who would have thought Microsoft itself, not just Xbox,
never.
but Microsoft
Never.
itself, you never would have thought that. And the fact is, they to store all this stuff, they have to have their own servers. It costs them money. It costs them manpower. They're not going to do it anymore. So I think you have to start thinking about, if you want to build a digital library, you want to make it downloadable to your own servers, whether it's Plex, whether it's Kaleidoscape, whether it's just a hard drive, whatever it is, you should start being mindful of that, especially if it's things that you really love.
Yeah, especially now with like home NAS systems being more affordable and expandable than ever. Like, we've got a NAS there in my house, right there in the office. We only have like an 8 terabyte drive, but I was looking at these new like Ugreen NAS servers where you can have like up to like 128 terabytes in there, and you can put your entire digital library and you can make it so you can access it from anywhere in the world. And you're going to have to start looking at stuff like that. Like I said, I think Google's going to be around for a long time. Now, of course, both sides have their issues, right? Like the digital and the physical all have their issues. There's not a single person I know, Rob, that hasn't lost at minimum a couple of discs, like just not whether they lent them to somebody or whether they went missing or damaged or whatever. Now we're seeing people who had like libraries on Xbox. They still have their movies for now. They're still there, but that's losing their service. What was the one that closed down a while ago? There was a smaller digital service that closed down a while ago. And I remember we did a story about it on the show. I can't remember which one that is now, but also like we're seeing like licenses end and stuff like that. There just doesn't seem to be, it feels like, Rob, what you're suggesting is kind of the hybrid best solution. So it's kind of physical media.
You're saying
in the sense
ultraviolet? Was it ultraviolet?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I think that was it. So like kind of have a bit of the physical media thing where you have your own hard drives, but the digital delivery of having it on your own home servers and having it on your own physical hard drives might be the ultimate solution moving forward. I don't know, but again, this sucks. I never bought a single thing on the Microsoft Store or on Xbox, obviously, because I have a PlayStation, but this sucks for anybody who owns this stuff. Guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Have you bought any movies either on the TV and movie store on Microsoft or on your Xbox? Are you now worried about the TV shows and movies you've already bought? But maybe you've already started the process of trying to rebuild your library somewhere else. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, sorry. I stole one of Anne's Doritos right before I started the show, and now a tiny little piece of it's going down the back of my throat. Anyway, damn you, Doritos. Next up, let's talk about this. So last week, before the social media review embargo started, we talked about here on the show the fact that Rob and I, in advance, got to talk to a number of people in exhibition who have already seen Fantastic Four. And while I had one of the guys who I talked to say it was pretty good, the other one absolutely loved it. And the guy Rob talked to, separate guy, totally liked it. So that's good. Well, the social media review embargo did indeed lift a few days early. And Rob, I'm not going to say that I have sat down and combed through and read every single reaction, because I haven't. All I can say is I haven't seen a single negative one. And we're not just talking from like random online outlets. I'm talking major trades.
Oh, yeah.
Like People Magazine and all that kind of stuff, saying just some ridiculously good stuff. Let's just jump over here for a second. We'll check out Deadline. And Deadline, well, let me jump into their headline. Deadline's headline is Fantastic Four First Reactions praise immaculate visual effects and pitch perfect script. One of the best things Marvel has ever made. Let's read some of them. Harper's Media wrote, Fantastic Four, quite possibly the best Marvel Studios film ever released. Okay, I doubt that, but that is big praise. Absolutely loaded with talent and standout performances from Vanessa Kirby and Joseph Quinn. If you thought the MCU died with Endgame, think again. Thoughtfully crafted and easily a genre-defining classic. Prolific reviewer Brandon Davis wrote, Fantastic Four First Steps is visually one of the best things Marvel has ever made. Parts feel like Interstellar and demand IMAX. Galactus is awesome. Silver Surfer looks really, really good. VFX were often immaculate. Cosmically and on Earth, Matt Shackman dropped a visual feast. Upland wrote, Fantastic Four is a triumph, a pitch-perfect script backed by great performances, particularly from Pedro Pascal. Turns what could be a simple superhero movie into a sharp commentary on our society and makes its nuance palatable for those that may not take it at face value. Well, if we go over to Gizmodo, Gizmodo's also talking about saying early Fantastic Four First Steps reactions say it's, well, fantastic. Andrew Salazar wrote, where is it? There. Fantastic Four is a story about family above everything else, where each member of the team is equally important. No one is undeserved, or is underserved, I should say. The movie excels when fleshing out the various bonds between Pedro, Vanessa, Eben, and Joseph. The retro 60 aesthetic works on all fronts. Chris Killian wrote, Fantastic Four friggin' rocks. More than any Marvel before it. F4 feels like Jack Kirby's imagination brought to life on the big screen. Between this and Superman, 2025 might go down as the year movies finally embrace the wonderful weirdness of comic books. Then we got Matt Neglia from Next Best Picture wrote, Many will say the Fantastic Four First Steps is fantastic, and they'll be right for several reasons. The four main cast members are excellent. Michael Giacchino's lively score is instantly memorable, and the 60s retro-futuristic production design and dynamic visual effects are fantastic, he said. So they go on and on and on. And then to top all that, there's a friend of ours, Rob, who's a Hollywood producer. You guys would know him. And he texted me the other night just out of nowhere and just said, you and Ann are going to love Fantastic Four. And he particularly talked about Galactus, and he particularly talked about Pedro Pascal. And I'll tell you what, Rob, listen, everybody who watches the show knows that you and I were not exactly thrilled with the trailers.
No.
I mean, the trailers were okay. They were okay. They were fine. They didn't diminish my looking forward to Fantastic Four, but they didn't do anything to move the needle. Then Marvel changed tactics. They said, okay, our trailers aren't working. Let's just put out some clips. And the clips went to a completely different level. The clips looked great, and they started getting us excited. I'll be honest with you. I have been going into next weekend when Fantastic Four gets released this week, thinking that this is going to be pretty good. I've been thinking this is going to be pretty good. But I have yet to see a negative reaction to it. That doesn't mean there aren't any. I'm just saying I haven't visually seen them myself. And the people that I know who have seen it, including people in the industry, both the movie industry and the theatrical industry, are raving about it. And they're like, we've seen a couple of them saying this might be the best thing Marvel's ever done. I highly doubt it's the best thing Marvel's ever done, but it at least puts it in pretty good company. And Rob, I'm not going to say I'm now looking forward to Fantastic Four as much as I was looking forward to Superman. Not quite there. But I'm getting pretty damn excited to see this movie now on Thursday. Anyway, you read through all the reactions and you've heard all this stuff. What's standing out to you the most, and where's your needle at right now?
Well, I have to tell you, I mean, since people have seen it and told me they've seen it, I've become more excited. I mean, I've wanted to see a great Fantastic Four movie the better part of my entire life. And I think, look, when I heard that they were doing a retro, you know, we were seeing first posters from this like 2 years ago, and they had like the retro cityscape, and we're like, oh, they're going to do a, you know, a retro version. I got really excited about that it takes place on its own sort of self-contained Earth, and every, as it's developed, I've been very excited. But like you said, John, the trailers left me cold because I didn't feel anything. I watched the trailers, they look good. I mean, physically the everything looked good, but there wasn't anything intellectually, or it didn't grab me. And I think part of the reason was they didn't let any scene play out, so you never got a sense of how does it feel to watch the movie. And once we saw these scenes play out, just add a few lines of dialogue, it's like, oh, these are characters I want to spend time with. I like these people. And when you're making a superhero film, the first thing you want to do is like them. You know, remember how much you liked Steve Rogers in Captain America, the First Avenger.
Yeah.
And what was interesting was that began as a period piece as well. And I keep going back to that movie as sort of a, I don't know, a bellwether about how Fantastic Four could go, because I really enjoyed the period nature of Captain America. And they've never really done that again. We saw a glimpse of it maybe in Endgame, but to see this period piece in an alternate reality, but to know that it's the characters that make that's the engine of this. That's what they said about the characters when they were created back in the early 60s. So it's really great to hear this. I got to tell you, my excitement level's gone way up, and I'm really excited to see this movie. I can't wait to see it because everyone that I know, that I trust, that's seen it really liked it. So,
and you know what? Besides your enthusiasm and my enthusiasm, you know what else has gone up? One of the things you and I have both said, Rob, in the last month and number of weeks is, if Superman is good, and it did turn out to be very, very good. If Superman is good, no one is going to benefit more from it than Fantastic Four.
That's right.
Since Superman has come out, the projections for Fantastic Four went from 90 to 110 million. They're now saying it could top over, since Superman came out, now they're saying Fantastic Four could top over 130 million on its opening weekend.
Well, you know what? Especially if it's fun, John.
Yeah.
I mean, the one thing about Superman, there's a lot of people that want this Superman movie to still be this messianic thing. But what they did, I think what James Gunn did, and it's proving to work, especially if you're looking at families going during the week, which is what I said was going to happen. It's working. And the Fantastic Four is also sort of embracing, it's apparently a 4-quadrant movie like Superman is. It's a family film. The kids can go. The parents can take their kids. And you know what? It's going to create excitement, I think, for both movies. I wouldn't be surprised if Superman gets a boost from Fantastic Four, because people are going to want to see both together. Now you've got maybe the true Barbenheimer is hitting us, but it's a superhero Barbenheimer. And, it's going to carry us into August. And that would be really neat for both studios. Isn't it interesting that James Gunn going over to DC might be just the thing that Marvel needed to bolster its theatrical success?
Well, I mean, to your point, like Kevin Feige has said for years that the best thing for Marvel is a healthy and thriving DC thing, because he used the analogy himself about the rising tide raises all ships. The more excited people are about comic book movies in general, the better it is for Marvel, and people will get more excited about comic book. So, like, you're absolutely right. Like, it may turn out that the best thing in the world for Marvel, besides Bob Chapek getting fired, is probably going to be James Gunn going over to DC. This is probably going to be the best thing in the world for Marvel. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? We are now seeing like the reactions for Fantastic Four through the roof. And by the way, the actual review embargo lifts a little bit later today. So we're going to be talking about the actual full reviews tomorrow. Now, normally the full reviews are a little bit less enthusiastic than the first reactions, but I'm expecting to see some pretty good scores, probably 85 plus. Anyway, we'll see tomorrow. Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. with that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, there was once this urban legend, a myth, if you will, that faded into rumor, that faded into legend. Some say, my grandfather said, that at one point, Mahershala Ali was going to play Blade. That's the rumor. That's the legend. Oh, years and years ago, that's what they said, and nothing has ever transpired. But wait, truth may emerge, because according to a new in-depth interview that Kevin Feige has just done, apparently Blade is still on the menu, boys. They're still doing it, and they've made a couple of significant changes, including, remember Blade was going to be a period piece? Not anymore. It's now official. They are going to make it a modern piece, and two-time Academy Award winner Mahershala Ali is actually still connected to the film. This is what the folks over at Joe Blow had to say. Feige told the journalists, as reported by Variety, that the Blade delays have been caused by Marvel's quote-unquote overexpansion, aka Bob Chapek. That is their response to Disney's mandate to produce more content when Disney Plus streaming services was getting started. A response that Feige says brought about a situation at Marvel where, for the very first time ever, quantity trumped quality. Now, the studio has to recover from that overexpansion, and Blade was a project that stalled out in the process. Feige said, "We didn't want to simply just put the leather outfit on Mahershala and have him start killing vampires. It had to be unique. It felt into the time when we started pulling back and saying, only accept insanely great." And it wasn't insanely great at the time. We didn't feel like, as we often do, you can have a good script and then make it a great script through production. We didn't feel confident that we could do that on Blade. And we didn't want to do that to Mahershala and didn't want to do that to us. Feige confirmed that 3 of 4 different versions of Blade have been developed over the years, 2 of which would have been period pieces, but now we've landed on modern day. And that's what we're focusing on. All right. So he goes on to confirm that Mahershala is still completely connected to the movie. He says they are still doing Blade and that this is the first piece of tangible update news, Rob, that we've had on Blade for a while, that they've actually now settled on a starting point. It's going to be modern day. I am not opposed to comic book movies, Rob, being period pieces. You already mentioned, the Captain America, the First Avenger, we're getting Fantastic Four. I'm not opposed to that, but I never wanted that for Blade. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wanted to see the Daywalker today. I wanted to see him in modern times. I wanted to see him in the current context of the MCU. That's where I wanted to see the Daywalker. That's where I wanted to see Mahershala Ali. So this is at least progress, right? It's at least progress. They now know, they've gone through all the renditions. They've gone through all the manifestations of the different ideas about how we're going to do a period piece Blade. And they've at least now come to the firm decision, nope, it's going to be modern day, and we're developing it from there. So hearing Kevin Feige confirm they're still doing it, hearing Mahershala is still on, and hearing that they've actually at least made some progress is good. But I still don't expect we're going to see a Blade movie before, I don't know, 2028. I mean, if they're just really now establishing, okay, it's going to be modern day, how long is it going to take them to develop the script? Then how long is it going to take them to clear everybody's schedules, put together a production timeline, get the thing shot, get the visuals done? I mean, Rob, it's going to be 7, 8, maybe 9 years between when they announced Mahershala coming out on stage and announcing a Mahershala Ali Blade film and when this movie actually comes out. It's very Flash-like, because it was nearly a decade from when they announced Ezra Miller as Flash to when we finally got the movie. Anyway, it's at least progress. Rob, you saw this interview, particularly talking about Blade here. What were the things that stood out to you? And is this positive news? Are we finally going to start to see some movement on this?
Well, I think it's positive. I mean, I loved, I read all this account, Feige had a big press conference basically and allowed all the larger outlets to listen to him speak about the future of Marvel, which I thought was great. Look, like you, I want to see a Daywalker movie. Now, that doesn't mean that it can't, I wouldn't mind if it began back in the past to set up vampires in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But like you, there's something about Blade interacting with the modern age that's cool. Because vampires, by definition, are these ancient creatures that have been with us a long time. And one of the great things about the first Blade movie, Stephen Norrington's Blade movie, is how modern it was from the get. You know, we saw the Blood Rave. They're playing that New Order remix. Wesley Snipes just looked badass, had modern weaponry and stuff, and it was firmly set in the now, which made it as cool as it was. This was not Interview with a Vampire in New Orleans in the 1800s or whatever. This is like, there are vampires right outside your door. And that's what we want. So the fact that they now have an actual direction, why it took them this long to figure it out, I don't believe it's just Marvel expansion. It's just such BS. I mean, it's like, I think they really had a problem figuring out how they were going to incorporate vampires into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Just say that. But now that it's happening, look, count me in. But I don't want to be teased anymore. I'm a little blue, if you know what I'm saying. I want some satisfaction. I want a climax to this Blade journey, if you know what I mean.
We got you with a little blue. We understood. We got it.
Yeah. So listen, you know, Jonathan just had a picture of Robert Downey Jr.'s Doom. That happened 4 years after they announced Robert Downey Jr. as Doom. 4 years after they announced Mahershala Ali as Blade. And we're going to get Robert Downey Jr. as Doom on screen before we get Mahershala Ali on screen as Blade. Yeah, because I'm with you, Rob. Look, this is either you now got to get this thing made or just announce that you've killed the project, right? It's been teasing the fans for way too long. Mahershala is not getting younger. It's either make solid progress or just kill the project for now and try revisiting it in a few years. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Kevin Feige revealing a couple of very important things. Number one, that Blade is still ongoing. Number two is that Mahershala Ali is indeed still Blade. And number three, they've completely changed philosophies about the movie and they've officially moved it from period piece to modern day piece. Do you think this thing's going to get made? Are you still interested in the movie? Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on and talk about this, shall we? You know, I was just talking about with the Blade thing that Kevin Feige did a pretty exhaustive and pretty big interview. And one of the things that he covered was the casting of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, particularly talking about X-Men, but also existing characters like Tony Stark and like Steve Rogers. Variety ran this headline that says this: Marvel plans to recast the X-Men and eventually Tony Stark after Avengers Secret Wars. But reboot is a scary word, Kevin Feige says. And I'm going to scroll down here to where he starts talking about this in particular. Now, the article goes on to kind of mention the fact that, you know, of course, in Doomsday and Secret Wars, we're going to have a bunch of these classic X-Men. James Marsden is coming back to play Cyclops. Ian McKellen, Patrick Stewart, Kelsey Grammer, on and on. We're going to get a lot of them back. But don't think for a second that means any of them are actually going to be our X-Men in this new iteration of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Variety writes, in future films, however, X-Men characters who appeared in previous movies will be played by new actors, along with mutants making their big screen debut. The decision echoes changes in the composition, in the composition of the Marvel Comics following the 2015 Secret Wars storyline, which involved multiple timelines collapsing and reconverging, mixing up the characters of the main Marvel timeline in the process. Now, one of the other things that he goes on to say is that at some point, we're going to see a new actor playing Tony Stark. And he does not say it's going to be a rebooted universe. He actually specifically says, listen, other franchises have done it, and he's not wrong. Other franchises, whether it's James Bond, Harry Potter, on and on, Doctor Who, other franchises have changed actors, and it's worked out fine. And he specifically gave some mention to Tony Stark being somebody else, to Steve Rogers being somebody else. Rob, it is difficult for us to imagine anybody playing Tony Stark other than Robert Downey Jr., because that's all we've ever seen.
And he's so good at it.
And he's so good at it. It's very difficult for us to imagine anybody else playing Steve Rogers other than Chris Evans, because that's all I've ever seen, and he was really good at it.
Really good at it.
Now, you saw some James Bonds who were pretty damn good James Bonds then go on and be replaced as well.
Sure.
I don't think we're surprised, and correct me if I'm wrong, Rob, I don't think we're surprised to hear Kevin Feige say, after the next couple of Avengers movies, the X-Men are not going to be the same actors that have played them before. I don't think we're surprised to hear that. I think we all kind of guessed that their presence in the new Avengers movies was probably temporary at best. So I don't think that surprises us. What does surprise me a little bit is to hear him go on to say that other Marvel characters could be played by other actors. Now, the advantage that gives Marvel, much like The Simpsons, Rob, one of the reasons Simpsons been able to last 732 years is because Bart never ages.
Yeah.
Maggie never ages. Lisa never ages. Grandpa is still alive. Mr. Burns can still be alive. Because of the timeless nature of that, those characters are always whatever age you want them to be. Same is true with James Bond. I mean, if Timothy Dalton was still playing James Bond would be approaching 80 years old. But because they recast, he is always whatever age they want James Bond to be. And trying to look on the bright side of it, by being willing to recast, and it's not like Robert Downey Jr. only played Tony Stark once or twice. I mean, he played him for well over a decade, more than a decade.
It also with him, it's intrinsic because it saved his career, recreated.
Oh, it totally
his career.
saved his career.
So we look at that role as something that saved him from that era of drug abuse, and he was like, people laughed at the idea.
Oh, and that's why Jon Favreau had to actually dig in his heels and kind of fight with some Marvel execs at the time. And the Marvel execs weren't wrong to be worried about it. Because remember, he had a comeback. A lot of people forget this. Robert Downey Jr. started a comeback, and he was doing really well. And he was on a really popular show at the time. Remember Ally McBeal?
Yep.
And things were going really well. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Ally McBeal fires Robert Downey Jr. He fell back into his drug habits and whatever it was, and they had to fire him. So he lost his career again. Then he got another comeback, and that was here with a real comeback. I mean, he had a couple of smaller projects for sure, but the real comeback was getting to play Iron Man. But being willing to now swap out the actor means that you don't have to worry about addressing that Iron Man is now 60 or that Steve is getting ready to turn 50. Iron Man, like in the animations, like in the comic books, Tony can always be whatever age range they want him to be. And then maybe if the MCU is still going in 20 years, they can recast it again. Now, look, I'm painting a pretty picture and I'm looking at it on the positive side. Whenever they do decide to bring back in Tony Stark, and listen, if you're going to have a Marvel movie universe, you got to have Iron Man. If you're going to have a Marvel movie universe, you have to have Captain America. You got to have Steve Rogers. Whenever they do it, Rob, no matter who they cast, it's going to be jarring at first, right? I don't think anybody doubts, even the most optimistic of people will doubt that it will be jarring at first. But it might end up being the right move for them in the long term. Because Rob, if you were to ask me, what would I rather have Marvel do? Just reboot the universe or recast some roles? I would kind of prefer them just to recast and keep the history. But I don't know. What's standing out to you about his comments about the X-Men, Steve Rogers, Tony, all that kind of stuff? And what's your thoughts on this?
Well, first of all, they're leading up to an event that in the comics was designed to collapse timelines and reboot the universe again from scratch.
Right, yeah.
And they're doing what they did in the comics, and they're doing it in real life. And it makes perfect sense to me because, look, I mean, superhero aging works well in something like The Dark Knight Returns. But if you're making action, adventure, sci-fi, fantasy stories, as you are with superheroes, who wants to watch a 70-year-old geriatric? Oh man, after that fight, I don't know if I can get out of this wheelchair. I mean, it's not
How
going
to
to
work
be.
for Indiana Jones.
Yeah, it's not like that. And so I think
Old.
what they've got canonically is whatever happens after the Avengers Secret Wars, the universe is reset, the multiverse collapses. So within the MCU, they have an excuse. Everything old is new again. And when the dust settles, everything is rebooted. Because if you think about it, how many genres? I mean, Doctor Who has been built the regenerations into the characters, so people know since the early 60s, Doctor Who regenerates. And then when they got to the end of the regenerations, they changed it and said, oh, he can do it again or more. But in this case, the universe is literally going to collapse and be rebuilt anew. So you have a great opportunity where in universe, the audience is actually expecting to see, ooh, I can't wait to see who they're going to cast in all of these roles. It adds an element of excitement. It renews the whole universe, but it does it in such a way that comic fans expect it, movie fans expect it, and it leaves a blank slate, and you are no longer tied. I mean, it's going to end up being 20 years. Whatever the new universe is, it's going to be 20 years since Doomsday is 26, Secret Wars is 27, and the next whatever thing is happening, the new movies are going to come out 20 years after the first Iron Man came out. It's time. I mean, I don't know how many movie franchises. Bond was pretty much rebooted when they started with Roger Moore in the 70s with Live and Let Die. Things change, but 20 years? Everything old is new again. They've got an entire clean slate to start from scratch. You know what else Kevin Feige said? He said that he doesn't know, he has no plans to leave Marvel yet, and he wants to keep making big movies, but he did insinuate that he doesn't want to just make only Marvel movies for the rest of his life. It would also be a great time for him to leave and move on to go somewhere else to make other movies that he wants to make and have a whole new creative team come in and rebuild the universe from scratch, allowing those new creators to put their imprimatur on things and give us something really cool.
He went out of his way to point out that he has 2 years left on his contract.
Until 2027, after Secret Wars.
I was going to say, what happens in about 2 years? Oh, right. And then I think we're going to see Kevin Feige. Like, I've been saying this for years, Rob. I don't think Kevin Feige is long to stay at Marvel. And at some point, he's going to be running a studio. I mean, he already runs Marvel. He already runs a sub studio. But if I'm DeLuca and Abdi, I'm getting a little bit worried because if Kevin Feige comes on the open market, you don't think David Zaslav is going to throw Brinks trucks full of money at him to come and be the head of Warner Brothers? He probably will.
Well, if their track record keeps going, though.
Yeah, then maybe you won't want to make a change. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Kevin Feige is confirming that, like, once we get on the other side of the new Avengers films, these returning X-Men characters from the Fox era will be no more. Like, it's just kind of a special thing for these Avengers films. And we could be seeing recasting of some key characters. Like, I don't think they're going to recast all of them. I think we're going to see a lot of the same cast in the MCU, but some key ones like Tony Stark, maybe Steve Rogers. How do you feel about that? What would be the approach you would take to make that transition happen? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Hey, by the way, Rob, just going to slide this in here too. One of our viewers just reminded me, you know who's over at Warner Brothers right now and is kind of the main consigliere over at Warner Brothers, David Zaslav? The greatest movie studio executive of all time, Alan Horn.
Oh, there you go.
Who did Alan Horn mentor? Kevin Feige. Who did Kevin Feige say was the greatest guy he ever worked for? Alan Horn. Yeah, just again, I'm not saying he's going to end up over at Warner Brothers Studios. I'm just saying it's an interesting thing. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, Superman just had its second weekend at the box office, and it did better than I thought it would on its second weekend at the box office. The movie has now made over $407 million at the box office in just 10 days. Now, making $407 million in 10 days is pretty good by any standard. However, it becomes more impressive when you start looking at it in context. Because yeah, that's a solid second weekend, man. 57, almost $60 million in your second weekend. That's pretty good. Especially for a movie that's trying to fight its way out of the destructive rubble of the old DCEU and the wreckage that happened there and trying to rebuild, DC's reputation. But in just 10 days, look at what's happened. In just 10 days, the box office of Superman has already passed 4 of the last 5 DCEU movies that came out in just 10 days. And it's already passed the last MCU movie. And in the next 3 to 4 days, it'll pass all 5 of the previous 5 DCEU movies and pass both of the last MCU movies. Listen to this. At making $407 million, Superman has already passed the entire worldwide theatrical box office of Flash that made $271 million. It passed the all-time worldwide box office of Beetle at $131 million, of Shazam 2 of $134. It already passed One Black Adam, already made more in 10 days than Black Adam with the new hierarchy of power in the DCEU did in its entire worldwide theatrical run at $393 million. It's already made more than the last MCU movie, Thunderbolts, that made $382, and I love that movie. But in yellow there, I got 2 movies that it hasn't passed yet, but it will pass them before the next weekend. It's about to pass. It's passing Captain America 4 that made $415 million, and it's passing Aquaman 2 that made $440 million. Look, I know people get a little bit frustrated when I make sports analogies, but allow me to make one here. When you have a team that has 5 years straight failed to come in last place, 5 years straight comes in last place in the league, and then finally the owner goes, enough, we got to make some big changes. And they bring in a brand new coach, brand new staff, they rebuild some of the team a little bit, and in the very next year, that team makes the playoffs, like not necessarily wins the championship, but the next year, after 5 years of finishing in dead last, in their first outing, they make the playoffs. That coach wins Coach of the Year, every sport, anywhere under that scenario. This is the garbage that Superman is coming out from under. I always need to remind my fellow film fans about exactly the context in which Superman was coming out. Superman was coming out when a sequel to a $1 billion film in Aquaman couldn't make $450 million. Superman is coming out in a context where a cinematic universe put out a movie that had been announced for 7 years, had one of the biggest box office credible stars in the world with The Rock. They even announced Henry Cavill's coming back as Superman. My boy, Henry. All that kind of stuff. That movie couldn't even make $400 million. And then, while nobody expected Blue Beetle to be a $700 million movie, they certainly expected it to make more than 131. By the way, that movie's pretty good. Shazam 2 made 134. And then the 10 years in the making Flash film could only manage to make $271 million. This is the context that Superman was coming out of the absolutely devastated landscape of a now completely destroyed and a completely run into the ground DCU that clearly everybody had given up on. And in their first movie out, their first film out, in just 10 days, beat all of them. In just 10 days. Rob, if we were talking about any other industry, if we were talking about any sport, if we were talking about any other unit of measurement, we would already be calling this one of the greatest turnarounds ever. With that context and that background and that base, Superman comes out and in 10 days, and pretty soon in about 14 days, is going to have a bigger box office than all 5 of the previous DCU movies in just its first try. I have said for 2 years, Rob, that Superman was never going to be a $1 billion film. It was never going to be a $900 million film. It was never going to be a huge box office because of all the baggage it has coming along with it. And it won't make 900 and it won't make $1 billion. But man, what they have been able to accomplish in their first movie out, 93% audience rating, 93 or 83% critic rating. It's won the audiences back. People are excited. It's been so good. Even the Fantastic Four box office projections have gone up because people are loving going to the movies and seeing superhero movies again. And oh, on top of that, if you had said this to me 3 years ago, that there's going to be a DC movie come out, their first one, and it's going to make more than the previous 2 MCU movies that came out before it, and beat all 5 of the previous 5 DCEU movies that came out before it. That's called a remarkable turnaround. And it just continues on, Rob, what I think is just an absolutely unmitigated success for this Superman movie. Again, I've said for years, it ain't ever going to make 900 million. It ain't ever going to be all that because of all the baggage, but its job is to repair the damage and win the audience back. And I've called it. It's mission accomplished. Anyway, Rob, you looked at its box office results its second weekend. You've looked at what it's now done compared to the last 5 DCU movies, what it's done to the last 2 MCU movies. What numbers are standing out to you the most, and where do you put this like in context?
Well, I think that the big numbers are the midweek numbers. You know, You're looking at an excess of $10 million a day during the week. Now, it's the height of summer. Kids are out of school. Parents can go see this film. It's a 4-quadrant movie. While Comic-Con is going on, that doesn't affect the rest of the world. So next weekend, I think it's also going to be big. Fantastic Four is going to take the majority of tickets, but I think people are going to see both. I think people are going to go see Fantastic Four, and then they're going to say, oh, I want to go see Superman again. They're going to compare and contrast. I think people are having a great time at the movies, but we'll see what the hold is. I mean, it's that midweek that really surprised me, John, and how many people go, how many people were going. I mean, that doesn't happen. And remember, they still have Discount Tuesdays. So tomorrow, I would expect another bump in box office, maybe not as big as last week, but people are going to go again because the midweek numbers, the theaters have brought those midweek or Discount Tuesdays or midweek Wednesdays or whatever, and Fantastic Four hasn't opened yet. So I think it's going to have another great midweek hold and another good weekend, even though it's not going to be Fantastic Four. I think it's going to do quite well. As well it should. I find the vitriol, online about trying to prove that this movie isn't successful strange. Like, look, it's better for everybody if movies are doing well. And this was a huge gamble on a number of different levels. And to see it paying off, it's great. It's great for the business. It's great for other superhero movies. It's great for DC. It's great for Warner Brothers. It's great for everybody, most especially the audience.
Yeah, well, you talk about some of the negativity that some people keep insisting on trying to make a real thing surrounding the success of Superman. And one of the things that a lot of people will often point to, well, hasn't made as much money as Man of Steel, which, by the way, still my favorite Superman movie is Man of Steel. You're not going to find a bigger fan of Man of Steel on this planet than me. But you also have to keep in mind a couple of things about Man of Steel. When Man of Steel came out, it had no baggage. Like, what you instead had was, because of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, comic books were reaching their crescendo. Comic book films were reaching the crescendo in popularity. Far more people were going to the movie theaters back when Man of Steel came out than go today. Movie ticket prices are more expensive today, so it was easier to go to the movies before. But again, primarily, Man of Steel, my favorite Superman movie, didn't come out with a completely botched and destroyed and completely buried cinematic universe behind it that it had to try to rebuild from. Instead, it was riding a really positive momentum, because even Superman didn't have MCU positive momentum to ride on. Like, the MCU the last couple of years has been hit or miss. Some things we love, some things not so much, right? So there was a lot of advantages that Man of Steel had, whereas this Superman did not have, and a lot of baggage that Superman has that Man of Steel did not. And that's why I've always said, Superman doesn't even need to break even to be a success for Warner Brothers, because it just needs to start the process of fixing the damage and bringing the audience back. Just like the sports analogy, Rob. When I said that, after 5 years of finishing last place, they didn't need the new coach to win the championship in their first year. They just needed the new coach to start turning things around.
Yes.
And that's what Gunn has done. Gunn has turned things around, and it's made the future brighter. So anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Superman has now cracked the $400 million mark. It's about to pass the last 5 DCEU movies that came out, the last 2 MCU movies that came out, and done something that, I mean, a lot of people didn't even think was possible. How high is the ceiling? I still don't think that high for it, but it raises the ceiling for the DCU moving forward. Anyway, whatever you guys think about all this, jump down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, with that down, it's time for us to move on to the most important part of our show, which is, of course, taking your live comments and questions. But before we do, we're going to bid good day to writer, director, producer Robert Meyer Burnett. Great job as always, Rob.
See you tomorrow, John. Enjoy and drive back safe from Las Vegas.
We will indeed. Thank you so much, and I'll see you tomorrow. But one other thing, guys, before we get to your questions, we're going to take a quick moment here and thank one of the sponsors of today's episode of the John Campea Show, our friends at BetterHelp. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, BetterHelp. You know, it feels like workplace stress is higher than ever these days. And I was just reading that about 61% of the global workforce is dealing with above normal levels of stress. And honestly, it's not surprising. When you're stuck in endless Zoom meetings, juggling deadlines, or just trying to keep your head above water, it adds up. Now, sure, a quick vacation sounds nice, but let's be real. It's not a long-term fix. What's helped me is building small wellness habits. For me, it's things like getting outside in the sun for a few minutes or squeezing in a brisk walk during breaks. But for a lot of people, sometimes that's just not enough, and that's where therapy can really help. BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform with over 30,000 therapists who've already helped over 5 million people worldwide. Their app is super convenient. You can meet with a therapist with just a click, and if it's not the right fit, you can switch therapists anytime. And just listen to the user reviews. The BetterHelp app has a 4.9 out of 5 from over 1.7 million reviews. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. Unwind from work with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/Campea. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at BetterHelp for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show. All right, guys, we're going to get on to your questions now. Now, I'm going to let you guys know that on Friday, I didn't have Jonathan there, and I was experiencing some technical problems, as you guys who watched the show on Friday knew, and so we didn't get around to taking any questions. So we're a little bit behind. We're going to get as caught up as we can today. Again, we're not going to be able to spend too much time because I am in Las Vegas, but we're going to get as caught up as we can today on all the questions you guys have sent in, and then we'll do even more tomorrow. So, Jonathan, let's start getting caught up here, shall we? What do we got up first?
All right, we got Kyle. Thanks for taking my past message about Pattinson. I personally am looking forward to it being a different, more fantastical Batman, but I'm concerned as multiple friends of mine have already asked if he will be Batman and don't understand why he wouldn't be.
It's really not hard. Like the moment you have a different universe, because I remember like when Joker was coming out, and my mom asked if it was the same Joker that we'd seen in Suicide Squad. I'm like, no, it's just a different universe. And my mom got it. Your friends will get it.
Yeah.
It's not hard to understand. A 4th grade child would understand the difference. So yeah, again, I just keep putting this out there. I loved Matt Reeves and Robert Pattinson's Batman. Love that movie. But it works because that Batman lives in a even more exaggerated, gritty, and grounded world. It's not a world of magic and powers. It's not a world of gods and monsters. It's a world of just street level crime. And that's why his Batman works so well in that, and why it wouldn't work in this one. So there is no chance we're going to get Robert Pattinson is not going to be the Batman in the DCU, nor absolutely should he be. He should absolutely not be the Batman in the DCU. Don't leave his Batman movie alone and leave his movies alone. His movies are doing great, and let James Gunn cook with the new Batman. All right, what's next?
We got Blake. The final shot of Superman might be my favorite last shot or scene in any comic book film. I haven't left a theater that satisfied with the experience since Top Gun Maverick. Honestly, can't wait to see every one of these characters again.
Yeah, man, that final, I loved the choice James Gunn made for his final shot. This isn't spoiling it. There's no context to it at all. But the final shot of the movie is Superman just laying back on a like a doctor's bed sort of thing. It's not in a doctor's office. He's just laying back, looking up at something and a big smile on his face. That ending, by the way, that movie I'm getting goosebumps and the hair on my arm is standing up just thinking about it. It makes me so happy, the end of that movie. Like, it just fills me with such joy, and I get emotional at it, actually. So it's a terrific ending. All right, what's next?
We got Semir Blade Script says, I've been obsessed with the new Superman soundtrack. Even though some of it is recycled John Williams, the last track, Last Sun, is one of my favorite scores recently. David Fleming killed it, so pleased with the movie overall. What a fresh new start.
Yeah, I sat down and I didn't get through all of it, but when the full playlist came out, I started playing, and it's really good. Like, I'm not going to call it one of the greatest soundtracks ever, but it's really good. It still does remind me, though, before Superman came out, in the days leading up to Superman coming out, a whole bunch of people just kept saying online, track 7, because everybody thought track 7 was a Batman theme. And in their defense, when you go and listen to track 7, if somebody told you that was a theme for a new Batman, you'd kind of believe it. It kind of fits. But it had nothing to do with Batman, and it was for a totally different scene. But yeah, you're right. The soundtrack overall is pretty damn good. All right, what's next?
Daniel. Hi, John. Why aren't Tuesday and Thursday box office numbers reflected in Superman's overall box office number?
They are.
Yeah. Or is it is it and I'm missing it? I understand the weekend box office numbers, but shouldn't it show the overall numbers? Thanks. Keep on crushing it. They adjusted it.
Yeah, they do. Like, sometimes if you're talking about like going to Box Office Mojo, sometimes you have to give it a little time.
Yeah, like days sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes you got to give it days. Like, for example, for 5 days straight, the international box office still showed $95 million.
I know, and people were like, "Oh, it's struggling." I'm like, dude, that's not.
No, it's like, no, they don't update the international numbers that quickly. The domestic numbers get updated more frequently, and now we see that I think the international box office is closing in on 180 for the international. So, but then even then, like, you have to usually give it some time to catch up, because information gets fed in at a staggered rate. It all doesn't come in a uniformed rate. So you got to just give a little bit of time. But yes, the numbers do reflect the overall total box office, which as of right now sits, well, not counting today, sits at about 407 million. All right, what's next?
We got Daniel M. Hi, John. On Wednesday's show, you mentioned if this DCU Peacemaker killed Rick Flag Jr. In Creature Commandos, Amanda Waller tells Rick Flag Sr. that his son was killed during the Starro invasion in Cordo Maltese. So I think that would mean he did kill him in this DCU.
Maybe, but it wasn't explicit. I mean, look, you are probably right. And I agree. I mean, I think that is probably the most likely scenario. All I was kind of pointing out before was that it was not explicit. So this Rick Flag may not know that Peacemaker killed his son. That being said, what's the name of the actor again? The name of the actor who's playing Rick Flag Sr.
Rick Flag? It's I
love him, and I'm freezing on his name. He was
Grillo.
Frank Grillo. Frank Grillo, thank you. I saw an interview with Frank Grillo where he's saying, "It's going to be a good day on set today because I'm going to be whooping John Cena's ass."
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, maybe that is reflecting that he does indeed know who killed his son. I mean, I don't know for sure yet, but that's probably the way they're going. All right, what's next?
Mr. Snivy says, 2 anniversary milestones yesterday. The 70th anniversary of your second biggest arch nemesis, Disneyland, only being Adam Aaron would be number 1. And the 73rd birthday of David Hasselhoff, the Hoff. What is your favorite Hasselhoff performance? Mine will be the first SpongeBob movie.
Oh my God, Hasselhoff turned 73.
Wow.
Well, I mean, I got to go with the thing that I was just a wee little lad, a Knight Rider, Michael Knight.
Yeah,
I will go ahead.
No, I was going to say, yeah, because if we're being fair, it really wasn't his performance on Baywatch that I was transfixed with. So
yeah, nobody was. And I don't know that was much of a performance, but I still remember, because even as a wee little kid, I loved Star Wars. And I think it was the premiere episode of Knight Rider that hooked me, because David Hasselhoff gets into Kit, the talking car. And he says, and it's all like advanced, right? He gets in and goes, "This thing looks like Darth Vader's bathroom." And that got me.
Yeah,
That
he's like,
totally hooked me. It's like,
"Mention Star
this
Wars."
TV show just referenced Star Wars. It was now my favorite show because it did that. But yeah, Knight Rider, man. I mean, all due respect to Baywatch and that was globally like the number one show in the world for a long time. I wonder why. But like, yeah, I think Knight Rider is going to have to be it for me.
So Michael
All
Knight.
right, what's next? Yep.
Tyler Yates. Man, I love Superman. I don't see movies more than once as much as I used to, but I've seen this multiple times and I've perfected the Steelbook already. I love it so much and can't wait for Fantastic Four. Side note, are you seeing Eddington?
Yeah, I got to get around to seeing Eddington. I have to admit, it's hard for me to get terribly excited about it because the last movie this guy made was Something is Afraid. Beau is Afraid. Was it Beau is Afraid?
Yes.
Yeah. Not very good. That was a boring film, and I thought rather a pretentious film at that. But still, this thing looks really good, and I'm definitely going to go see. I mean, I'm in Vegas right now, but this week when I get back, as long as I don't just decide when I get to the movie theater to change my mind and go in and see Superman again, I'll probably be seeing it this week. All right, what's next?
Anonymous. I've seen Superman 5 times now, and I want a Superman Christmas special. Clark and Lois visit Mom and Pa Kent during Christmas. Throw in a hungover Kara and crazy crypto in there. And there's an hour of comedy gold. End it with the Kent L family photo. I mean, yeah, that'd be great.
Listen, when they announced that James Gunn was doing a Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special, I love Guardians of the Galaxy. I love it. I hated the idea. I thought it cheapened Guardians of the Galaxy. I thought, why a Christmas special? Who needs it? Why is this being made? It can't make any money because you're putting it straight to Disney Plus. Then it came out, and Ann and I had a couple of friends over, and we sat down to watch it. And I can say this honestly, that Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special is now my all-time favorite Christmas special. It has supplanted Frosty and Rudolph and all the other ones. It's my absolute favorite Christmas special now. It's fantastic and wonderful and filled with Christmas cheer. I love that special. If James Gunn were to do it again, if he were able to talk David Zaslav, I mean, it doesn't make any money, but give me $15 million, David. Give me $15 million and I'll make a 48-minute long Superman Christmas special that'll blow everybody's socks off. I would so be down for that. I hated the idea before, but the Guardians of the Galaxy one won me over, so why not? Give it a shot. All right, what's next?
We got Cameron. John, do you believe the Odyssey will open more time slots per day for the IMAX 70mm since they currently only have one time slot each day?
I already know a couple have multiple. But yes, no doubt they will open more time slots. Now, there can only open so many time slots because there are only so many 70mm IMAX screens. They are few and far between those screens. But yes, some of them still only had one daily show listed. They will expand that. I've no doubt that they'll expand that if they haven't already started doing so already.
Right.
All right. What's next?
Quirky J. Thanks for fact checking the Universal logo mystery. My question was, what happened to Filthy Sports? You going to post any videos there?
So listen, I've always wanted to do a sports channel. I've always wanted to do one. And so we decided to kick one off and launch one. But I'll be honest with you, it didn't get the numbers that I was kind of hoping it would get.
Well, for the time, yeah. Production time and cast.
Yes, between production time and getting all the people involved and all that kind of stuff. Now, granted, I have been reprimanded when I have said that in the past, that it didn't get the numbers. And it said and it's true. Like people say, John, nobody starts a sports channel to the numbers that you started with. Like compared to any other sports channel trying to start up, you would think it had very big numbers, but it just wasn't as big as I thought they would be. I think my audience, less people in my audience appreciate sports the way I do. And so now listen, I have not killed the idea of revisiting it. We might go back to trying it again once the NFL season starts up. But yeah, right now it's kind of on the back burner because, I always wanted to give it a shot and we gave it a shot. It just didn't get the results I was kind of hoping for. And that's okay. Not everything you try works out gangbusters. And, but who knows? We might revisit it. We'll see. Thanks for asking though. All right, what's next?
We got the Joe D with a two-parter. Hey, gang, listening to your Odyssey discussion yesterday got me thinking about the Regal Theater near me in New York City that typically has pre-sale times available once tickets go on sale. However, usually on the Wednesday before opening night, they open up several more screenings that were not available before. Having the movie be sold out now is typically not a concern. Inferring we're going to get more. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, and don't forget, the only tickets that are sold out are the IMAX 70 millimeter screens. Those are the only ones they're selling tickets for now. And those are very, very few. Like I said, there's only like 4 of them in the entire Los Angeles area. So there will be tickets for the movie available when the opening weekend comes. It's just that those 70 millimeter IMAX screens, regular IMAX screens will have tickets available, but those 70 millimeter IMAX screens will be all sold out, but there's going to be plenty of tickets to see it on other kinds of screens. All right, what's next?
Scott Brown, 102. To me, Man of Steel is a masterpiece, but the biggest difference between Zack's Superman and Gunn's is Zack's Superman is a man with the power of a god who happens to be a good person, who is unsure what to do and hesitates. Gunn's Superman is a good man that wants to do the right thing and happens to have the power of a god, thus giving him the ability to act. That's why, as much as I love Man of Steel, I think Gunn got Superman more right on than Zack. This DCU has me so excited for the future.
I'm not sure I'm ready to say either one got it more right than the other. They just decided, like Zack Snyder and James Gunn decided to tackle the story of Superman from 2 different perspectives, right? One of the things that I love about Man of Steel was, the early parts of the Christopher Reeve movie, yes, but really, we've never really seen a Superman story tackled with looking at the fact that this kid discovered he was an alien. Like, this kid, like, it's already traumatic to find out that maybe you were adopted, right? And that your parents aren't your real parents per se, and that you were adopted. That's trauma enough for any kid. This kid finds out now that he's not even from this planet. He's not even a human being. And now trying to figure out, and your dad shows you, by the way, this is the spaceship you showed up in. What? And this is the only thing that came along with you, the little emblem thing that he had with the logo on it, right?
His like key thingy.
Yeah, and one of the things that I love about Man of Steel is that the part of the movie is just about him figuring out, who is he? Who am I? And the whole movie starts out with this spirit quest that he's on, traveling the globe.
Right.
Just trying to find out anything about himself as he's figuring out his place in the world.
And he's been raised by his father to believe he should hide who he is. That's a big difference. That's a huge difference in an adolescent's mind. And then he grows up to be in his 20s. So, yeah.
Yeah, now James Gunn goes with it from a totally different perspective. This starts with, again, this Superman's main power is his pure innate goodness. That is his true punk rock. That's his true superpower. And then it builds everything around that. So I don't think that the James Gunn approach was the better approach. I don't think the Zack Snyder approach was the better approach. I love it. Like when you got all these losers online trying to argue Gunn versus Snyder and this tribalism that if you like one, you have to hate the other, amongst all those losers, I celebrate that I get to say, I love both of these. I think these are both great. And I love the fact that we live in a world, right, a movie world, where we have 2 completely different stories that decided to tackle the Superman mythos from 2 totally different points of view. And I think they're both fantastic. So why we live in a world where everybody thinks you got to pick a tribe and pick a side and you have to hate one, fuck that. I love the fact that I've got both of these movies that I can go to and I can watch anytime that I want, and that they had two filmmakers who decided to take such radically different approaches to their stories. And I love that I can love them both. Anyway, what's next?
We got Ryan who says, Happy Friday. AMC must have started their, oh, it's a $33 tip, by the way.
Oh my God. Thank you so much, man.
Must have started their ads before movie program, because I went to see Superman in IMAX last night at 9 p.m. and I clocked it. The DC Studios logo came on at 9:33. So here's a $1 tip for every minute of ad time I had to sit through. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Listen, I have yet, and I'm grateful, I have yet to go into a movie at AMC theaters where they broke their promise when they say, showtime, the movie starts 25 to 30 minutes after showtime. Every time I've gone into an AMC theater since they've said that, the movie has started no earlier than 25 minutes before showtime, or 25 minutes after showtime, and no later than 30 minutes after showtime. Quite often 30 minutes on the nose, so they're pushing it. But I am going to get upset as a moviegoer, as a customer. The first time I go into a movie and they don't start the movie until more than 30 minutes, I'm going to get upset as a customer, as a patron of AMC, because I'm going to go to the manager afterwards. I'm going to say, hey, listen, not for nothing, but you guys said that the showtime was 7, and you specifically said on the page that the movie will start 25 to 30 minutes after that, and it didn't start till 35 minutes after that. I'd like you to compensate me for my time because you stole 5 minutes of my time. Now, again, so far that hasn't happened. So far they've stuck to it, and I hope they continue to. All right, what's next?
Connell says with a two-parter, hey, Mr. Campea, my family and I live in Maine, and we decided we wanted to go see Superman in 40X. And so
good decision.
Made a trip to New York to go see it at a Regal Cinema with 40X. We had a blast. The only issue was the number of freaking trailers. Our local cinema is the best. Tickets are $8, 10 minutes of ads, and they only play 2 trailers, which are relevant to the movie. When we were at Regal, we got trailer after trailer. We got sick of it. They played the Wicked 2 trailer twice. So that's weird.
Oh my God. Okay, first of all, I've only gone to 40X once. I still haven't gone to see F1 in it, and I really want to. And I heard they're bringing F1 back to 40X. I saw Twisters in 40X. Loved it. But I can't imagine many movies I'd want to see in 40X. Yeah. Twisters, yes. F1, yes. I don't know if I'd want to watch Superman in 40X. I might find that a little bit distracting. But yes, you are absolutely right. It's especially if you're coming out of a great theater that knows how to value its customers' time and only shows you so many trailers, to suddenly go into one of the big box store movie theaters like AMC or Regal and see like trailer after trailer after trailer after trailer after trailer after commercial after commercial after commercial after commercial after commercial before they finally show it can be unnerving. Again, I like the fact that AMC is at least now being upfront and telling the audience 25 to 30 minutes after the stated showtime. And as long as they stick with it, that's not ideal, but it's a step in the right direction, and I will give them kudos for it. And as long as they stick to that, I'll be happy. But yeah, it can be totally unnerving going from a respectful movie theater that respects its customers, like yours respects you, to suddenly going into a big box store theater like Regal and AMC, who have no respect for us, have no respect for you, have no respect for your time, and just throws ungodly amounts of ads and commercials in front of you after you paid to be in the theater. Anyway, all right, what's next?
We got Hot Rod Taw with a two-parter. When you start going cross-country, please take the opportunity to visit and showcase a lot of local independent theaters that are out there. A lot of them are unique, refurbished, historical, family-owned, town staples, and sadly struggling with rising distribution costs. Even as a third-rate YouTuber, giving these venues some exposure might really help them compete with the likes of the big chains. Also, come to North Carolina, especially Asheville and the Piedmont Triad, where we have lots of these theaters.
Well, first of all, be clear. I am a nobody. I don't know that me going to a small independent theater is going to change the fortunes of that small independent theater because I'm a nobody. That being said, I do plan. And for those of you who don't know what he's talking about, One of the things Ann and I are doing in Las Vegas today is right after this show is done, as a matter of fact, we're going to go to the factory of Nouveau Vans, where they're going to give us a little bit more of a tour, and they're going to show us the progress they're making on our van. We should be getting our van in about 2 weeks. And this van is something we're going to use to travel across the country. And one of the things that I'm really excited about doing is traveling to movie theaters across the country and like saying, hey guys, on October 10th, I'm going to go see the 7 p.m. showing of Tron Ares at the Phoenix Regal 5. I'm just making up a theater, by the way. And if you want to buy tickets to that screening too, come see it with us. And then after the movie's done, I'm going to hang out in the lobby or in front of the movie theater for like 45 minutes, and we'll talk movies together for anybody who wants to come. And we're going to do that around the country. And so I definitely plan on, like, when we are going to go to, say, I don't know, let me pull a name out. Like if we go to Albuquerque, New Mexico, I'm definitely going to put up in our community tab, hey guys, we're going to be going to Albuquerque, New Mexico. Which movie theater should we go to? And if there's a really good independent theater that people recommend and they're going to be showing a movie I want to see, that's going to be an important thing. Then we'll definitely highlight some apps. We'll absolutely highlight some independent films in those towns as well. So I'm really looking forward to doing that. All right. And I hope some of you guys will come out. Listen, I understand I'm a nobody, and I understand we're a very tiny YouTube channel. I'm not expecting we're going to go to some movie theater and like 50 people are going to be there to hang out. I understand we're going to go to some of the movie theaters and like 0 or 1 or 2 people will be there, but that's fine. I think that's going to be fun. And I hope that when we do come to a town that's near you, some of you guys will come out and join us. All right, what's next?
Gunstill Kent says Man of Steel had 100 days in theater run. Superman will have around 45. That makes a difference in the never-ending comparisons. Also, if you adjusted inflation for benefit, then you must adjust for cost. That's a good point on Movie Hubbub channel.
Well, I mean, again, people think they sound smart when they go, well, if you adjust for inflation, but really all that tells you is that you haven't thought about it, the big picture. I've for years had people ask me, why don't you, when you're doing the box office comparisons, why don't you adjust for inflation? And the reason that I believe you cannot adjust for inflation when talking about and comparing box office is because inflation is a variable. It is, for sure. There's no doubt about it. Inflation is one variable. But you don't get to cherry pick which variables you want to count and which ones you don't. Because while inflation is a variable, there are about a dozen other significant variables as well that you should also then take into consideration. For example, when Man of Steel came out, more people were going to the movie theaters than they are today, post-pandemic. I mean, that's just a statistical fact. Fewer people go to the movie theaters since the pandemic. Like, a lot of people clearly stopped going to the movies when the pandemic happened, and not all of them have started coming back. That's just a fact. And that is a significant major variable. Also, you have to take into consideration the variable that back when Man of Steel came out, movie ticket prices were a little bit cheaper and therefore easier for people to go to. It's more expensive today for people to go to the movies, and therefore not as many people will buy the tickets as used to. If you want to talk about movies from different eras like the 90s or the 80s, okay, well, guess what? More movies come out today than they used to back in the 80s and 90s. So there's far more competition that a movie coming out today has to face. Also, the video game market is completely different than it was 20, 30 years ago. Now, a larger and larger percentage of particularly young people's expendable income goes to video games, and fewer are spending it on movies. I mean, still a lot of them spend on movies, but that's okay. Look, the point is simply this. You can't just say, I want to just take that variable into consideration. Well, you can't do that because that becomes a meaningless comparison unless you take the other variables into consideration too. Therefore, what box office analysts and myself have just kind of landed on is that the best thing to do is just take it all at face value. You either got to take all the variables into consideration, or you shouldn't take any of them into consideration and just go with a straight face value approach. And that is honestly the most accurate and fairest approach to take. So, yeah, that's why I think it's ridiculous whenever anybody, well, if you take into account inflation, It's like, well, sure, if you want to be myopic, but that's a pointless comparison unless you take all the other variables in consideration. Anyway, all right, what's next?
We got King Peach. John, help me out here. Thursday's 12 million, Friday's 44, Saturday 36, Sunday 36. Does that up to you as 116 or 128? Well, that's 128. That's the official day-by-day breakdown for the opening weekend of Man of Steel from Box Office Mojo. What's going on exactly? The variance where it shows 128, that was the preview night on Tuesday.
Yes. Yeah, because they counted that in with the Thursday number. Now, remember the Thursday, the preview, the the Amazon preview night, because it was in so few theaters, that only accounted for $2.8 million, right? That's it. It was only $2.8 million. It wasn't a massive needle mover or anything like that. So again, we talked about a little bit earlier. Sometimes you have to let Box Office Mojo get caught up. Sometimes you can't just look at it on the day a number comes out. You also have to then expect that number may change in a couple of days once they get a bigger picture of all their actual data in, and then they get more firmed up. All right, what's next?
All right, we got Chris Douglas. Do you think it's strange that a 25-year-old straight man, loves Bridget Jones movies? LOL, I don't know why, but I find them so endearing. Cried so many times in the new one when her dad said, "Promise me you'll love Bridget," and son sings, "I'd do anything." I haven't seen the new one.
I haven't seen the new one myself either. Look, a great story is a great story. If you can, and movies are experiential events. Look, I am not the target. I am clearly not the target audience for Wicked. All right. I am clearly not the target audience for Wicked. I went into Wicked. I like John M. Chu. So I went into Wicked expecting a decent movie. I loved it. And again, I'm not its target audience. It's not the kind of movie that I would generally like. But a good movie's a good movie. And so, and by the way, listen, the Bridget Jones movies are good movies. And so while they may not be your normal cup of tea or whatever, listen, I'm not a Backstreet Boys fan. Okay? I think my wife just raised her eyebrows a bit. I am not a Backstreet Boys fan. But a good show is a good show. And Ann and I went to Backstreet at the Sphere in Las Vegas last night. It doesn't matter that I didn't go in as a Backstreet fan. That was a good show, man. And I'm going to say it. Listen, I'll go back even more. My wife made me go to watch, and I do emphasize the word made. My wife made me go see the Jonas Brothers. I'm not a Jonas Brothers guy, but a good show is a good show. And damn it, if those three dudes did not put on a hell of a show, they really did. So listen, if a movie works for you, it doesn't matter if that style is not normally your style. A good movie's a good movie. And if it hit you the right way, then it hit you the right way. All right, what's next?
All right, we got Dak Chats. Getting ready for my first date in 2 years since my divorce. Nervous as hell, but luckily for me, the John Campea Show is postponed just in time for me to listen live on the way. My favorite way to calm my nerves. Bring on the filthy. Here's hoping I bring on the filthy too. Take your time, Dak. It's been 2 years.
Listen, I'll tell you what. There is nothing more intimidating, I think, than dating. Dating's the most intimidating because seriously, it's a job interview. It's a freaking job interview. Your first dates are job interviews. And you never really know, because you got to understand, first date, you are not seeing the real version of the person you're talking with, because everybody is putting forward their best, right? You don't see them as they are. You're seeing them at their best. And you have the stress of trying to put on your best, your funniest self, your most interesting self, your most listening self. It's you, but it's the best version of you, right? And every single freaking time, it's a job interview. And there's nothing more stressful than that. And I'm not going to lie to you, man. I love some of the activities that came along with dating, but dating in and of itself, never a fun thing. Dating is never a fun thing. I hope you have a good one. All right, what's next?
Billy B says, if you haven't seen, this is really cool. Hot Toys revealed their Galactus, Fantastic Four figures, which includes a Galactus figure that's 2 feet tall.
I think I saw that. Somebody sent me a thing of that. And listen, one of the things I'm going to try to do on Thursday, because Ann and I are going to go to a 2 p.m. screening of Fantastic Four on Thursday, and hopefully we'll be there early enough to get the Galactus popcorn bucket. And I'm going to hope to have that on the show on Friday. Listen, the Deadpool Wolverine, that one I wanted, but this Galactus one I really want. It's a pretty cool looking bucket, so I hope I'm able to get one. All right, what's next?
All right. Where'd I leave off? Anonymous. Hi, John. I finally got around to watching Superman Wednesday. I thought it was wonderful. It really showed the most human side of him since the Chris Reeve movies. You felt his compassion and love for the world he adopted. Mom, Pa can't raise him right.
Again, to me, in my very first out of theater reaction, when I came right out of it, the thing, and I just a 1-minute video, the thing I said is the true power is not his power. The true strength of Superman isn't his power, because a force of nature an earthquake can have power, right? I mean, that's fine, but it's his utter humanity. It's his goodness. It's his empathy. He's just a good man, like so good that he's inspiring you. Like I walked out of that theater inspired to want to be a better man. And not many movies do that, where like you walk out like with big imagination or excitement and buzzing. Like that's all great when that happens in movies, but it's very, very, very rare that you walk out of a movie feeling inspired to want to be a better person. To me, that's what Superman did. And that's one of the things that makes this movie so special to me. All right, let's just take a couple more, then we'll have to wrap it up today.
All right. We got Dan V. Did you watch the Uncaged Fury teaser with it being a Johnny Cage trailer for the MK2 film? Super fun and cheesy. I'm sure Cool Hand Cage, Hard to Cage, and Rebel Without a Cage were great. By the way, Cole was a WB mandated character for the first film. Crazy to do that.
Yeah, the Cole, I'll never understand that Cole decision. But as far as that was like a teaser for the trailer, Hard to Cage and all that kind of stuff. That was great. You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of Tropic Thunder. Like I was watching that. It's like, this is Tropic Thunder, and it's great. It's great. Like all of them were super funny, and it was. And listen, that first Tropic Thunder, that first Mortal Kombat movie, or the most recent one, I should say, total ass. I mean, it had its moments. It did have some pretty fun moments, but overall, the movie was complete ass. And I just have not been able to get excited about this sequel. And then that trailer came out, and I'm like, okay, you got me. Now I'm really excited to see it. Now, listen, I like the trailers for the last one too, and I ended up hating the movie. So, but this trailer looked great, and it looks like they corrected the mistakes. They re-leaned into the things that worked. And I'm believing this is going to be a much better movie. I'm choosing to believe this is going to be a much better movie. All right. One more question.
All right. Anonymous. Hey, John, on the recent Happy, Sad, Confused, James Gunn confirmed he's writing his next project. He also confirmed he would direct that script. Denied calling it a Superman sequel, but definitely a Superman feature. Also confirmed not BVS World's Finest.
I have a feeling it's Justice League. Now, you might be saying to yourself, isn't that still a little ways off?
Yeah.
Yep. Now, by the way, I could be totally wrong. It may not be Justice League, but I have a feeling he's already laying the groundwork. And here's why I think this might be a good idea. And again, it totally might be not be Justice League. But if it is, if it is Justice League, the reason that would be such a great idea is because it lays a blueprint. Let's say that Justice League movie is 3-4 years off. It lays an unmovable blueprint for anybody making the movies that are going to be leading up to that Justice League. Hey, your character has to end in a place where this can happen in Justice League. Like it lays the blueprint for what the new characters need to be and where their stories need to lead them. So it could be a very smart thing. Now, again, it may not be Justice League. It may be something totally else. I am concerned that James Gunn is spending too much time writing scripts and directing. He's supposed to be the head of the company. And I need him in the executive offices doing his job. I love James Gunn. I'm an unapologetic, massive James Gunn fan. And I love what he did with Superman. And I think him writing and directing that movie as the first movie out of the gate for the new DCU, absolutely the right decision. But now that it's done, I need him focusing on his job, not his side gig. Because now writing and directing these movies is a side gig. I need him focusing on shepherding and sitting in his office and keeping a handle on the whole cinematic universe, all the movies they have in development and that they're working on and that they're trying to bring into being. I need him in there doing the job of a CEO with Peter Safran. That's where I need him as a fan. That's where this cinematic universe needs him. Because if he's not going to do that, then there was no point in becoming the CEO of the company. He might as well just be a regular DC director. I need him back in there doing this. So I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see where they go with this. All right, guys. Listen, I know we're not caught up yet, but again, I am in Vegas and we got things we got to do. We will spend more time tomorrow getting us all caught up on all the questions you guys sent in. I know we're falling behind. I do apologize for that. But again, unforeseen technical problems on Friday and now me being here in a hotel room, notwithstanding. So that will do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you guys so much for being here and making our little show part of your day. Big special thank you to all of you guys who sent in questions. Number one, because you give us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you also support our channel as you do it. And all of us involved with the show, thank you guys so very much for your support. Also, big thanks to Robert Meyer Burnett for being here. Our technical producer, Jonathan Voico. Thank you so much, Jonathan. Great job as always. And that'll do it for us, guys. My name's John Campea. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.